All right, welcome back to Making Picks. My name is Nathan. I'm joined with Mark. What's going on, Mark?
What's going on, man? It's been, I guess, very kind of hectic past couple of days here. I know that we're a little tardy on our making picks, kind of like a release here. Obviously, I could use some extra time to figure this whole thing out here because my picks have pretty much hit the fucking tank. You're
Yeah.
rolling.
hmm
Just a quick little update as well. We definitely have a couple of different things going on from a Statement Games perspective, but we'll be back soon enough with regards to Statement Games Live. Hang tight. We're going through a couple of different updates and updating some processes and procedures and things like that. But we'll kind of get cranking kind of soon. But look, a lot of stuff kind of going on to the sports world. I mean, we're now kind of into March. It seems like there's spring that's right around kind of the corner. You're another month kind of closer to the start of OTAs and the NFL draft, and eventually kind of training camp, as well as the start of the new kind of football season. Gonna have a lot of stuff coming up, especially from a golf perspective, NBA playoffs, NHL playoffs. So we got our heads down here. We're cranking along, and a lot of things going on. But hey, you know what? With spring and kind of with March, I mean, we'll get into NCAA basketball as well. But
Yep.
needless to say, the teams have reported for Major League Baseball spring training,
Nice.
and that first particular game is right around the corner. So I wanted to do something a little special this week, just to kind of talk about the upcoming MLB season. We got a special game on statement games in which we kind of have a little fun with the projected over under win totals for the teams. And before we really started getting crazy with some NCAA basketball stuff here, and miss out on this opportunity, I wanted
hmm
to, I guess, use the little lull in the sporting action to talk a little baseball. So I
Yeah.
guess that's kind of where I'm at this week. What's going on with you? Anything good?
Oh no, not much. I mean, just getting ready for March Madness coming up soon,
Yeah.
and got obviously business stuff going on, so that we can talk when we come back for Statement Games Live. So,
Cool. Not bad. Not
yep.
bad at all. All right. So let's see here. What do we got? I'm definitely trying something like a little bit new. You and I have talked about this kind of offline. It gets a little dicey given that we kind of take like a good 5 or 6 days traditionally before we record our next episode, and we're really trying to focus in on the I guess hot game of the week, so to speak.
hmm
um so we're trying something new. If people want us to go back to it, I guess we kind of can. But kind of all in all, I didn't want to start spending an extensive amount of time trying to recap a game, especially from a hockey or a basketball perspective, in depth,
hmm
especially since now it's kind of a week old here. But on that particular note here, not a good week for me. I mean, not this past Sunday, but the Sunday before that, we covered the Boston Bruins versus the New York Rangers kind of game. I went another 1 for 3 with the picks, so I'm now kind of officially 21 for 40 on the year. You kind of remain kind of red hot, 3 for 3, 24 for now, kind of 40. So a good 3 games ahead of me. Picked
Yeah.
up basically, wow, I want to say 7 games in the past kind of 3 weeks.
Don't
Our
sleep.
our 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 ringers are doing kind of great. So they are, I guess, officially 6 for 10 for the year. I got notification. We actually do have another little special guest that will be joining us kind of on this show. Just got confirmation that this person is here and they're comfortably sitting backstage. So we're kind of bring it up. But all in all, I'm 21 for 40. You're 24 for 40, and our guests are now officially 6 for 10. Our guest, the last time that we had over here, went 2 for 3 with their picks.
Nice.
So they're 2 for 3. So everyone's freaking doing well, with the exception of me.
hmm
So when
It's all
that kind
that
of
talk at the beginning of the
happens,
year. It's all that talk. It always
hey,
comes back to bite.
we're still kind of going March here, and I'm still kind of
Mhm.
confident that I have the ability to smoke you turkey. So.
Yeah.
But with that said, I get a little angst. I get a little kind of restless.
hmm
So when that kind of stuff happens, I tend to start I guess, making offers that could come back and bite me in the butt as a result of kind of like, making it. But with this one here, this is a little bit different. This is going to be like a season-long kind of contest. So I have some time to kind of chew on it. So with that in mind here, unless you got anything else to say here, I'm just going to kind of get into why people should be listening to this specific show specifically.
Sure. Do you want me to pull up the graphic?
Yeah, if you can go ahead and pull up our graphic. I got a nice little slideshow here, and people,
cool.
Let me know what you think. I kind of figured nice little visual. I know we talk about why people should actually listen. I kind of figured, hey, you know what? Why not just take the extra step here and put the shit in writing? This way you can actually see and hear me, talk about why you should listen. So with this show specifically, we like to give away things, or we like to try and give away things. So for this one in specifically, hey, you know what? I got about a $75 Fanatics kind of cash gift card that could be all yours if you continue listening and watching this show. I also have a $400 Amazon cash gift card that could also be yours by continuing to listen to this show. I'm telling you right now, the only way that you will have an opportunity to win those things if you follow our instructions, and we'll get into that into a second here. But in addition to that here, you have to do a couple of the following things. You have to subscribe to this channel, give this video a little thumbs up, and then in the process of doing those two things here, we also want you to drop a comment in the chat box, basically kind of like, highlighting what your favorite MLB 2021 over-under win total pick is. And hey, you know what? StatementGames.com. We outline all that stuff for you. There's a lot of different kind of sports books that are kind of on the market as well. We're going to be checking everything here. So if you try dropping in a comment like New York Yankees over 50 wins, it's not going to count. You actually have to have a pick or a comment that's verified or in line with the lines that are actually on Statement Games. You know what? Why actually even go that far? Let me just kind of make it clear. You actually have to reference the line on StatementGames.com. I mean, after all here, do we really give a shit about what other sports books and what type of lines they're putting out?
Right.
So that's kind of like where we're at now. $400 is I guess about $150 more than what I've accustomed to give away in the past.
Nice.
I think the most that I've tried giving away was about a $250 cash gift card. So you can actually see that this has been spiked up a little bit here.
Yeah.
So in an effort to, I guess, get back on track here, you got a special guest. We could go ahead and kind of bring him in.
Alrighty.
And as I introduce Isaac, I'm going to tee this up here. Isaac, you kind of step in. Actually, don't say anything just yet. Kind of Isaac, just kind of correct me if I'm wrong here. So Isaac, you're 14 years old, right?
Yep.
You're a freshman, kind of in high school.
Yep.
All right. So Nathan, I'm not sure what you were doing when you were a freshman, kind of in high school. I can actually say that when I was probably 14 years old here, I was basically kind of doing everything and anything that I possibly could to not be a menace to society, as well as the surrounding wildlife kind of around me. I also know that I was definitely doing my best to, I guess, continue to make out with Danielle Cossack behind the bleachers of the local kind of high school here. Definitely a little bit bitter when she, broke up with me in favor of Joe Amplo. But hey, you know what? It's only been 33 years here, and I guess you can say that I'm still a little bitter about that whole situation here. So I'm not sure what you were doing kind of in high school, Nathan, but those are some of the things that I can remember that I was doing off the top of my head, especially when I was making the turn from going from 8th grade into high school. But hey, Isaac could be doing the same thing over here. But to kind of tee him up a little bit here, this is Isaac Edelman. I refer to him as Isaac the Great for the following particular reasons. Isaac is a graduate of the Bob Costas School of Broadcasting. He is also just recently completed within the last, I'd say, 8 months here, a pretty significant internship with Sportscaster. a pretty significant kind of player in the, I guess, sports digital media / technology kind of space. He is also the owner of FLTeams.com. And as of last week here, FLTeams.com has about 20 writers and contributors contributing to FLTeams.com, which is basically a sports site covering all of the local Florida sports teams. Anything from the Florida Panthers, Tampa Bay Lightnings, Miami Marlins, Miami Dolphins, to Miami University, Florida State, you kind of name it. And he's kind of covering it from a Florida perspective. So Isaac, what's going on, man? Thanks for taking a couple minutes to help us out here.
Absolutely, guys. Mark and Nate, thanks so much for having me on. It's always fun coming on here, and definitely go subscribe for a chance to win those money.
Well, that's kind of I'm not sure if you've been listening, and I know that you kind of been following the Statement Games live show in the past couple of weeks here, and if you have, you can actually tell, hey, you know what, I'm not really doing too well with my picks. So it's kind of a new process that we've actually been kind of going through. The purpose of bringing on guests, or what we kind of call ringers, is really to kind of help me out. But it seems like in the past couple of weeks, for whatever reason it may be, the ringers have been helping Nathan out. And not necessarily paying homage to the people who are inviting them on this show here. So I completely trust your opinion. That's why I call you Isaac the Great. If there's one thing that I've actually learned in working and coordinating with you over the past 8 to 10 months here, is that you never, ever go against the great Isaac. So I know that baseball is something that's completely up your alley. I'll let the New York Mets stuff kind of slide like a little bit here, but you got some great insights on the Miami Marlins and things like that. We're going to go through the process of making some picks, but before we go ahead and do that, give us a little bit of anything that you're kind of looking towards, or looking kind of forward to when it actually comes to the 2021 MLB season. Anything that's, without tipping your hand on what type of picks you can or will not kind of be making, but anything that's really sticking out for you that comes to mind. I know that you had, I want to call it like a riff, but a little bit of a fun kind of debate that you had with one of the other Statement Games contributors on the recent signing with regards to Trevor Bauer. So I'm not sure if you want to touch upon that subject here, but just give us some general kind of overall thoughts on the 2021 MLB season.
Yeah, a lot of big players moved this offseason, and they switched teams. So it's going to be interesting to see them on their new teams, right? See how they perform. Blake Snell, Yu Darvish on the Padres, Nolan Arenado in St. Louis, Francisco Lindor. There's just tons of names. There's too many for me to name. But overall, I'm excited to see fans back at the ballpark. Hopefully, I could go to a game as well.
Yeah, not bad. Now, are you more of a Met fan or a Marlins fan, or do you kind of look at both of them the same?
I'm more of a Marlins fan. The reason I'm just a Mets fan is because of my dad. So I'm going to take my possession. I was born in Florida, so I'm a Marlins fan.
Okay, so your dad's from the New York area.
Yep.
All right. Not bad. So obviously you're keen on kind of in the Marlins. You got some good kind of feel for them. And look, again, it's another year where there's dramatic kind of turnover from a Rays kind of perspective. You're covering Florida teams. Any specific thoughts stick out in your head, and where, hey, could they have like another potential repeat of next year? Did they take a step back here? What are you thinking from a Rays perspective?
Not just that they took a step back, the AL East got better with the Blue Jays. The Yankees didn't really get better; they stayed the same. But for the Rays, they needed to get better because the Blue Jays got better, and not just that the Rays didn't get better; they got worse, losing Charlie Morton. And, of course, Blake Snell. Gotcha.
Now, Nathan, I know that, I just kind of like, the last couple of weeks here, you kind of raised your hand and you admitted that hockey wasn't necessarily your forte. Mm-hmm. What are you feeling in terms of baseball? Are you more of a Tigers fan? Do you not care? What
I think
what are you thinking from a baseball perspective? Are you an adopted? I mean, you're kind of like, right around, dead smack where you live here. You're on the borderline. I mean, I guess if you continue going like a little east, you're in Red Sox country. You basically go a half a mile to the west here. You're Yankee land. Where do you actually sit?
If I'm watching baseball and if I'm rooting for anyone, it's going to be the Tigers. I mean, from Detroit, I've gone to way more Tigers games than probably any other Detroit sport, just because growing up, that was where my family really liked to, to take in sports. They took in a lot of baseball. And I remember when Comerica Park was built and Tiger Stadium was tore down. I've got pictures of me, probably a little younger than Isaac, on the field there on both stadiums, getting, pictures with the players back then. And I think I even was able to take like grass from the field, that kind of stuff. So, which is funny because I'm more of a football guy. You would think that, I would have gone to more Lions games and stuff, but I've probably been to like 5 or 6 Tigers games over the course of my childhood. And I have no idea. I mean, like, I've played baseball in gym. I don't really know too much about the sport at all, to be honest. I don't really watch it. I'll go to a game, and generally the last time I went with a buddy. I was over 21 and we were taking in those frozen margaritas, and nice. I was just asking questions about, like, I didn't even know what some of the letters on the scoreboard meant, like an error. How do you error? Like, is that like a penalty?
So this is like basically another situation where people should be locking in and paying attention to your picks here, because you don't know jack shit is what I'm looking at here.
I understand hockey. I know what most things are with hockey.
Apparently you're an expert in hockey. I mean, have you gotten a hockey pick kind of wrong in the past 3 weeks?
I don't think so. I think
what are you, 8 for 9 or something like that?
Where this comes in is you're bringing in the ringers, and I've got a journalism degree, so I know how to ask the right questions. With baseball, I don't know if I know how to ask the right questions, so this will be interesting to see. Like, am I able to maintain, my streak, or am I going to look and? I mean, I guess most of this is going to be over under win totals and stuff, so that can't be too difficult, right?
Well, let's we're gonna find out one way or another. Yeah. I mean, why project here? So,
sure.
If it's all right with you guys, let's get right into the process of making picks. So, I'll give a little bit of a rundown of how this whole kind of deal works here. If you're actually new to the show here, what we do as a company, or what we do at StatementGames.com, is we're a gaming platform. We've actually invented a little bit of a different twist on fantasy sports. In this particular case, it's fantasy baseball. In general, we kind of have a little fun by outlining a sporting event on the Statement Games platform. In that sporting event, we're going to present you with a list of anywhere between 50 to 60 prop statements, game props, player props. In this particular case, it's going to be over under win totals. It's your job to review the list and select 10 of them. As you make your 10 picks, you want to rank them in order of confidence from 10 through 1. So as the sporting event, or in this case, as the season plays out, if your number 10 pick becomes correct, you get 10 points. If 9 through 1 are incorrect, well, now you just have a total of 10 points. This is a free-to-play game. You are playing for what we call Statement Games coins, or platform credits. It's your job to accumulate as many of these credits as you possibly can by finishing in first, second, and third in any contest on Statement Games. And when you're ready, you just take those credits and you exchange them for a cash gift card of your choice. State Games is available on the web at www.statementgames.com, but then you can also find us in your favorite app store, whether it be Android or the Apple App Store, by simply searching on Statement Games Fantasy Sports.
Yep. So do you want to start off? Mark, you generally cry a little bit if you don't take the first pick.
Absolutely. So I'm taking the first pick. So, Isaac, this is how this is going to work here. So I am going to pick first, kind of like followed by you. It's going to be like a little bit of a snake draft. I go first, you go second. Nathan will then make 2 selections. It will snake back up to you. And
then Mark, you got to remember to take 2 selections when it's your turn.
I think it's kind of like, easier, and then we just kind of like do kind of like a normal, because if I'm taking the first pick, I think it just makes more sense here if I take like the last pick. What do you think?
Okay.
Let's just
whatever you want to do.
Let's just
it's like a half a snake.
Yeah, it's like a half a snake. So we'll go ahead and we'll keep it kind of that way. So Isaac, so in a way, we're kind of playing as a team, but we're also kind of playing against one another, so to speak. So, for example, when I kind of make my my first pick, I mean, why play games here? I'm taking the New York Yankees over. You don't want to take the under because that can potentially mess up our card. If that kind of makes sense. So let's just kind of dive right into it. First particular pick here, I'm taking my New York Yankees over 96 wins. Looking at it from a perspective of, hey, I understand that Tanaka's actually gone back over to Japan, but you're getting Herman kind of back from suspension and things like that back into the pitching staff here. You got sort of basically coming back from his kind of injury, coming back onto the team. LeMahieu is back, signed kind of that big contract. This particular team could basically bash the ball all over the kind of the ballpark. They're going to hit homers. They're going to be able to hit. Bullpen is still fairly solid. Isaac alluded to it a little bit before here. I believe the Tampa Bay is actually getting worse. I think that's a big freaking loss with Snell actually going out to San Diego. The Orioles are still the Orioles. And Boston is not even a fraction of what kind of they once were. Yes, Toronto's actually improved. Could be a potential sneak pick for one of you guys here. I don't think they're able to compete at the Yankees level as of yet. I still feel that they're the class of the not only the AL East but the American League kind of in general. So number 10 pick, locking in New York Yankees over 96 wins.
Cool. There it is. Move on to Isaac. What would you where are you going with?
I'm gonna assume Marc could guess what I'm gonna pick. I'm gonna go with my Marlins, and look, I'm not always gonna go with my favorite team, right? But in this case, 67.5 wins. That's low for them, right? I know the NL East is the toughest division potentially in the MLB, but 67.5 wins. I had them getting around 72 wins, which is not that big of a margin, right? But I'm going to go with the over here. And look, they are bottom feeders again. They are getting slept on.
Nice.
Makes sense. Now, Isaac, are you going to keep that in the number 9 slot, or would you like to move that somewhere else on the board?
Potentially. Let's see as we go if there's anything that's stronger than that. If there is, I'll just quickly butt in and say, you know what, you could switch with me.
All right. Okay.
You're up on 2, Nathan.
Yeah, this is where I'm gonna be asking my questions. So, Detroit Tigers. I guess we're all going with our teams. And I would say that I do know that the Tigers have not been very good recently, from what I understand, listening to Detroit media. So when we're talking about 66 wins, what do you think, Isaac? Is that team good enough to overcome that amount, or is that too high of a number for them?
I think they're going to get around that number.
Okay.
So, if it was me, I wouldn't even put them on the board, right? I wouldn't take the risk of getting it right or getting it wrong. But in your case, for the best advice, I take the under.
Take the under? All right, I'll go with that. And then I guess we're talking Yankees. Why don't we talk a little Red Sox? It's around my area. They're sitting at 80.5 wins here. I mean, I know that they've recently won. What is it? A pennant? World Series? What's the trophy?
Yeah, you're right.
This is how much I know. This is how much I know about baseball. How are they looking going into this season? Are they going to be the same powerhouse? Are they a powerhouse? It looks like that's a lot of wins there.
Mom, you want me to answer that?
Yeah. What do you think?
Yeah. Oh, the 80 wins is way too high. Way too high. They are getting Chris Sale back this season, but the Red Sox have one of the worst bullpens in the league. They lost Benintendi, who was, really their only good player besides Xander Bogaerts in the field, and Rafael Devers. Obviously, they lost Mookie Betts, which was part of the World Series team, but 80 wins is way too high. That was one of my top picks. That pick, I would switch with the Marlins right now, so we could switch.
Wow, you feel that kind of strong. So Isaac, you don't have a lot of kind of confidence with Ottavino coming from the Yankees over to the Red Sox to help solidify like that bullpen. You got guys like Nathan Eovaldi who can still throw. He can still kind of throw heat, kind of like a little, unpredictable in terms of I guess the runs per per game. Could potentially struggle with a little bit of location now and then here, but overall still a solid pitcher and somebody who was a big part of that team from their I guess World Series not just a few years ago or just a few years ago, and then of course they kind of get that manager back. But I guess despite all that, they've had some big people kind of part ways with the organization, but even in getting some of those key pieces back, you still think and feel very strongly or adamant about the under on the Red Sox, huh?
Absolutely, and the relief pitchers they got are not ninth inning guys. They are eighth inning guys, right? And they're going to work them into the ninth inning spot. They could turn out well, right? But even if they do, they're just not a good team overall. But the big part is really just team chemistry, right? Because they have so many new pieces, but the new pieces are more young players, right? Because the veterans left, right? Another name was Kevin Pillar, who was a starter last year. He's now on the Mets. It's really, and Jackie Bradley was another one that was on the team last year, and now he was a free agent. He just signed with the Brewers a few days ago. So all of the new Red Sox players are new in not so good of a way. They're not new in free agent signings. They're new in terms of farm system coming up to play in the big leagues.
Fair enough.
There you go. All right, Isaac. Snake's back to you.
Isaac, you're back up.
Okay, here. This is tough. There's a lot of things that stick out to me, but in terms of this pick, I am easily going, and I know I said this is tough, but it's still tough to me to choose this. But look, you know why it's tough, but I'm saying it's easy. It's because it's in the NL East, right? It's a competitor of the Marlins, so I can't. I don't want to go against it. I don't want to go for it. But for this case of scenario, why not just go for it and put the Phillies getting under 83 wins? Guess what? It didn't turn out the way I said it would. I'm taking the under. The Phillies, let me tell you something. Always perform worse than they're expected, which isn't bad because they still finish good, but they're always thought of as those, the top team in the NL. Not this year, and I don't see them performing well. And if they do, especially in the NL East, now with the Marlins, that was a low win total, right? With the Phillies, 83 wins, I don't think so.
All right, fair enough.
All right, what do you got, Marc?
All right, Isaac. I just don't see it. So I know this is kind of like your home state and things like that here, and you can never really count this kind of like team out. But I'm not buying it. I'm not kind of like seeing it. Call me kind of like biased and things like that here. I understand that they played the freaking Yankees extremely tough last year. They were the division champs, but I think that Snell loss is extremely kind of like a big loss. Your boy kind of like Charlie provided an extensive amount of veteran leadership. He's no kind of like no longer with the team. I just don't see it. Correct me if I'm looking at this from a different kind of angle. I do think that Baltimore's kind of like improved a little bit, and I do think that Toronto's actually improved like a little bit. So to actually think that the Rays are going to be a 90-plus kind of like win team here is not necessarily something that I'm kind of projecting here. So I'm looking at Tampa Bay Rays under 85 wins.
Just to butt in for a second, I should have picked that. With my last pick. Look, I'm not a Rays fan by any means. I do know the Rays well because I cover the Rays through my website. I mean, I cover all the MLB teams, right? I know a lot about them. But this is me being unbiased, even though I put the Marlins on there. Because simply the Marlins are going to get more than that amount. But
this is why you're kind of on here. So if you think that we should be going in a different direction, or we're looking at it like a different pick here, we're spitballing here. So unless you object, I'm thinking I'm locking in kind of like the Tampa Bay Rays under 85 wins here, and I just don't see it.
Yeah, absolutely. So you're exactly right. So that is a huge pick. It's tough to see who do we got in front of that. I like Marc, right? That's a strong, confident pick, right?
Should we move that up? Maybe swap out the Tigers and move them down?
You know what? Yes, exactly. I do that because, like I said, if it was me, even though the Tigers are not that good of a team, right? I wouldn't put the Tigers on here because people know they're not that good of a team, and that's why their over-win total is so low, right? They may get around that amount of wins, right? So, not the most confident pick. So, yeah, I definitely put it towards the bottom. But that Rays pick is definitely a lock for anyone watching. Even if it's not as high as us on the board, you should definitely put that down. They're definitely getting the under for their win total.
All right.
Nice.
All right, Isaac, it's back over to you.
Okay, so, I was thinking of this for a little, and I think it's kind of predictable. I'm gonna go with the St. Louis Cardinals over 85 wins. I know there's to be simple. There's no competition in that NL Central, and the Cardinals got Nolan Arenado, top third baseman. Yes, Adam Wainwright and Molina came back. They're veterans. But they still have Goldschmidt, right? One of the top players in the MLB. And Jack Flaherty, a top pitcher. So a big weigh-in in this pick is obviously the competition in the NL Central. So I'm going to go with the Cardinals on this list as the over.
Nice.
All right. Not bad. So that wraps up your three picks. Nathan, you got one more, and then I got the last one.
I think Isaac still has one more. He's only done two, right?
It's done three.
Oh, he has? Okay. Let's see. Okay, so
actually, you're right though, because we always give the guest the very last pick. So Isaac will have one more. He'll be the only person making four picks, but he's made three already. Yeah.
Correct. Yeah, that's usually how that goes.
So you're right and you're wrong.
Yeah. So what I'm gonna do is actually, because I caught a little bit of the static between you guys over the Mets starting off intro there. What's your thoughts? Is 92.5 wins, Isaac, too many for the Mets, or do you think that they can meet that and maybe have more wins than the Yankees there?
Yeah, I mean, at the beginning, me and Marc just hinted at how the Mets improved, but it's not that good of a correlation, right? The Mets improved, but 92 wins is a lot, right? So now you have to find that fine line, right, in the middle. Yes, they improved, but 92 wins? I take the under for that. Any day of the week. Marc, would you agree with that?
I'm not going to tip my hand until Nathan makes his pick.
Okay.
I'm not giving him any help.
Well, I locked it in. I'm going with the under, and I know Marc doesn't want to give me any help.
I mean, technically, you can kind of change it, but now that you've made your selection here, I agree. I've just kind of learned at a very young age that you just don't pick the Mets. Although, I mean, look, they can have a tremendous kind of season. They're dramatically improved. They've probably had one of the best off seasons in franchise kind of history in terms of bringing in players like Lindor and things like that. Missed out on the Bauer signing, but I don't actually think they kind of need him. They got some kind of key guys coming back, like for example Stroman, kind of sat out last year from industry. He's basically looking to resurrect his career and put up some solid numbers so that he can potentially, take part of one of those extended long-term agreements, whether it's with the Mets or some other particular team here. But as Isaac pointed, I mean, that's a lot of wins. 92 and a half wins is a lot. They can win that division at 90, 91, depending how things kind of go. Plus that division from, I guess, the teams that are in that division from perspective should be kind of highly competitive. You can't really count out the Nationals. Philadelphia is Philadelphia. But with that said, Isaac, I mean, if you are taking Philadelphia as an under and the Mets as an under, does that kind of mean you're kind of looking at a team like the Marlins, obviously to surprise like a lot of people, and then like teams like the Nationals to also play well here? Or are you kind of like looking at it, hey, you know what, the freaking Atlanta Braves are basically going to run away with this division?
So, not a lot of MLB fans actually think like I am right now. So
that's why you're the great Isaac. You're Isaac the Great. Yeah, that's exactly why you're here, because people don't think like you.
Yeah. So when you have a stacked division, right? Some people would assume, oh, that means a lot of teams in your division are going to get close to 90 wins. It's not going to work that way with the Mets or the Phillies or the Nationals, blah, blah, blah. The NL East is going to be stacked this year, and every team in the NL East is going to take wins away from each other, which means potentially the winner of the NL East could get around 89 wins, 88 wins. Why? Well, the Braves, the Mets, right? If you wanted me to give you my MLB rankings, the Braves are the fifth best team in the league, and the Mets are the sixth best team in the league. So, you could move them fifth or sixth or fifth, you could flip them. But when you have the Marlins taking wins away from the Phillies and the Nationals beating the Mets a lot, it's going to be a lot of splits, right? When the season ends, the Mets win, 6 out of the 9 times they play them. So basically the situation is, yes, I'm taking the under for the Phillies. Yes, I'm taking the under for the Mets. But that's because 92 wins is high, right? The Mets could get 89, and that's still a lot. And
still get to where they want to be at the end of the season.
Exactly. So even though you may say, oh, the NL East is a stacked division, the Mets are good, but there's other good teams in the division that are going to surprise the Mets and take wins away from them. And that, if the Mets were this good 6 years ago, that would have been different because the NL East wasn't a powerhouse like they are now.
Gotcha. Okay.
All right. So I think Isaac is up for his 4th pick, and then
no, I gotta make my last pick, and then Isaac gets like the last one here.
Okay.
All right. So Isaac, I mean, I'm sure I'm glad this one kind of like snuck through. So I'm gonna kind of jump kind of all over it. Again, I think these lines were kind of set like a little bit early by the Statement Games kind of system here. You have, I guess, a specific MLB team here that's completely decimated their roster. I believe the team that I'm referencing right now, you got guys like Cole, the starting pitcher on the Yankees, are actually probably making more money than this team kind of combined here. This is a complete botch or a mistake here, Isaac. Unless you kind of disagree, I'm locking in the Cleveland Indians under 81.5 wins.
I'd agree so. I don't think it's completely a botcher just because they made the playoffs last year,
All right, so maybe. All right, so let's just think this through here, because this is my pick. You got me thinking here. I thought you were going to agree with me wholeheartedly, 100%.
I'd say about
sense a little hesitation in your voice here.
95%.
95%. All right. Well, let me kind of throw it this way, because I wanted to bring this up because we were just kind of talking about the Mets number kind of being high. Now, I also understand that this team is dramatically improved here, but it just sounds weird, and I'm not ready to jump on it yet here. My other inclination was the San Diego Padres under 94.5 wins. The San Diego Padres are projected to win 95 kind of games this year. I mean, am I off here? But I mean, I understand that Colorado just lost Arenado. San Francisco, hey, you know what? Still maybe a couple of fries short of a Happy Meal, so to speak. Here, the Dodgers are World Series defending World Series champions. Just kind of signed Bauer. You got guys like Price who are coming back here, so it looks like they're kind of getting stronger. I understand that you have like that World Series hangover a little bit here, which gives a team like the Padres to maybe sneak in a couple of additional wins here. But San Diego Padres 94.5 wins sounds extremely high to me. So I was looking at that. If you don't like the Indians one, I was looking at that one. And then I just think the division stinks here, and I like the young team and the way they're building here. I was looking at the Chicago White Sox at 91 over 91.5 wins. So of those three different scenarios, do you believe that the Chicago over 91.5 wins or the San Diego under 94.5 wins should be prioritized higher than the Cleveland Indians under 81.5 wins?
Yeah, so first, it's just a capitalized no for the Padres. I'm going to tell you now, they're the second best team in MLB. And it's sad that the team that's ahead of them is in the division, the Dodgers. So the Dodgers and the Padres are the top two teams in the league. I have the Padres getting just that amount.
So it's 90. Too close to call with the Padres.
Exactly.
Okay, so we'll take them out. All right. What do you think of the White Sox over 91.5? Is that too high? And should I go? That
was gonna be my pick, but
all right. No. All right. So if we do that, I'll stick with my Indians pick.
Yeah, that's fine.
Which gives you the flexibility to ride with the White Sox.
Exactly.
So Nathan, go ahead, lock in for me. We've talked it through. I'm going to take the Indians under 81.5 wins.
And I agree with that. It wasn't 100% for me, but it was a 95%.
All right. So last pick, Isaac, you going with the White Sox?
Yeah. So as much as I wanted to go with the Toronto Blue Jays because they really improved this offseason, well, the over-under is the perfect amount for them, right? And when I say the perfect amount, I mean that's gonna be a exact amount how many wins they're gonna get. So too close to call, right? So as much as I wanted to choose the Blue Jays, I'm gonna go with the White Sox. If you guys didn't know, I'm not a White Sox fan. I'm not a bandwagon or anything. But the White Sox were my #1 sleeper team last year, and they did amazing.
I remember that.
You do. I love their young talent. They're just, when I say they're one of my favorite teams, that means I'm gonna watch them. I'm not gonna say, oh yeah, I'm a White Sox fan. No, but they're one of my favorite teams. I like watching them and I respect their talent. But they got better this year, better than last year. They signed who I think is the best reliever in the MLB. He won Relief Pitcher of the Year last year, Liam Hendricks, coming from the Athletics, and they got another top pitcher, Lance Lynn, who was amazing on the Texas Rangers last year. So, the White Sox, with last year's talent, could potentially get, over the 91.5 wins. But they just improved even more. So, Marc, I'm going to give you a little credit for also, you were going to put the White Sox pick, so good job for you.
So we're on the same page with that one. But I did I wanted to bring it up because you actually just touched upon it here, and I'm just curious to get your thoughts here. Oakland Athletics, obviously, key particular piece of the puzzle that's moving on to a different team here. But hey, you know what? Seattle still stinks. It doesn't seem like it never seems that the California Angels ever live up to their full potential here. What are you just quick thoughts on the Oakland A's with an 84 win total for the 2021 season?
It's tough. It's tough because the Astros should be good this year. The Athletics are a good team. They don't have a good, starting pitcher rotation, but they have enough offense to win games. And they lost I just said they lost their best relief pitcher. So that's really, in order for the White Sox to get the over 84.5 wins this season, it's gonna be their offense, right, carrying the team. They have a top third baseman who some may even say is better than Nolan Arenado. You say, why do they say that? Because Nolan Arenado was in Colorado where the ball flies. So they said that's the difference. But Matt Chapman's amazing. They have Matt Olson, a top first baseman. He hits bombs. And but they lost Marcus Semien. So again, 10 picks is a lot out of the 30 MLB teams. So I don't put close calls on here. I wouldn't put the Marlins if it was a close call, but in this case, it's not.
All right, so let's Nathan, let's go ahead and lock in those picks here. And since it's hey, look, it's the year. There's a couple of things that I also want to touch upon here. As everybody who's watching this, if you've made it through this far, you can see that it's just a game. We're making a bunch of prop picks, and we're actually ranking more of conference from 10 through 1. Anybody who decides to play this game, as I alluded to like before here, anybody can actually go 10 for 10 with their picks at the end of the 2021 MLB season. I'm personally going to come to the table and cut them a check for $400, or basically give them a $400 kind of like an Amazon gift card here. The $75 Fanatics kind of like gift card here actually will go to the VIP overall tournament winner of this 2021 MLB over under wins total contest. If you need some more information on what is the Statement Games VIP program or how to become a member of the Statement Games VIP program, just drop me a note. You can either do so in the chat box below, or you can simply send me an email to marketing@statementgames.com. As a review to the beginning of the show here, to win any of these things here, make sure that you are subscribed to the Statement Games YouTube channel. Give this video a thumbs up, and give us a comment on what you think your favorite MLB 2021 over-under win total prop is. So with that here, Isaac, there's a bunch of teams that we didn't cover, so let's just do kind of like a quick rapid fire. We'll go to Isaac first, and we'll go to Nathan. So Isaac, kind of real quick, gun to the head here. Arizona Diamondbacks over under 76 wins. I'm sorry, what'd you say?
I think you're muted.
Okay,
I think we got you on mute. There you go. Come on, you're rooting the show, Isaac. I'm building you up here.
I'll take the under for that, definitely.
Okay, Nathan, what do you think? Arizona Diamondbacks over or under 76 wins. This doesn't count for the picks or anything like that here. Obviously, you're guessing, so
I'm
not sure why people would want to freaking care about your picks anyway. But let's just go through. I just need some more ammunition to actually refer to something that's on tape of you getting things wrong. So let's go here.
So then say the opposite of me.
Sure. Yeah. I literally have no idea. So under.
All right, there you go here. I'll take the under the Arizona Diamondbacks as well. Isaac, what do you think? We talked about a little bit here, but you got the Atlanta Braves at over under 91 wins. I'll take the over. What do you think?
I will too.
Nathan, Atlanta Braves over under 91 wins.
Over.
There you go. I think this team's kind of like improved. I understand that they're still kind of like in the division of the Yankees, but they're not necessarily a pushover with kind of like the Yankees. Look, starting pitching isn't kind of like horrible. I mean, it's looking like bad, but it's not completely putrid. And I actually think this year they got some additional help from a bullpen perspective. But what do you think of the Baltimore Orioles? I mean, it's a low win total number. It's 64. You think they can actually get over 64 wins? Or are you sticking with the under?
It's tough. Like I said, I usually don't mess with low win totals because low win totals usually mean the team's bad. But again, the Marlins are slept on, and they're not a bad team. So, but the Orioles, I'm just gonna say the under. Why?
Okay.
The Rays are still way better than them.
Nathan, Baltimore Orioles over under 64.
Under.
I'm going to take the over on the Orioles. So that's for what it's going to worth here. Looks like the odds makers are down on the Chicago Cubs this year. I'm not sure when the last time I saw a win total for the Chicago Cubs as low as 81 in the past couple of 5-6 years or something like that here. So what do you think, Isaac? Chicago Cubs over under 81 wins.
I have the Cubs finishing second in the division. Usually second place winners get, if it's not the NL East, who knows how many wins that division's going to get. They're so good. With the Cubs, like I said, I don't mess with these picks because when I say I'm going to predict like how many wins the team's going to get, obviously I'm not always going to say the amount the over-under says, but 81 sounds, how much they're going to get. Obviously 81's not 81.5. So, but I'm going to go with the over just because division strength. Division strength for me weighs so much into my picks.
Over on the Nathan.
Over.
All right, there you go. All the Cubs better than the Reds, Isaac. 79.5, pretty close to the Chicago Cubs kind of number. What about the Reds here? I mean, obviously they lost kind of Bauer, but over under 79.5.
I'm gonna go under.
Nathan?
Under.
All right, I'll take the over on the Reds, and I believe I skipped the Cubs pick here. I'll take the under on the Cubs and the over on the Reds. We touched upon the Indians. I mean, Isaac, what do you think? I think this is actually the worst team in baseball. Colorado Rockies, 63.5. I'll take the under on them. What do you think of the Rockies?
Absolutely, under.
Nathan?
Under.
So you think Houston is still going to be pretty good? Are they good enough to go over 90 wins?
They're good enough to win the division, which means they're good enough to get over 90 wins. Will they?
Or will they get over 90
exactly.
wins?
I'm going to say no.
Wow, so you think they can actually win that division at 89 wins or something like that?
Yeah, I mean, this is my prediction. I feel like just that they're more likely to get under that amount than they are to get over that amount. And I do have them winning the division. So that's, they don't really correlate with each other, but that's how my heart feels. So I'm going to go with that.
All right, Nathan, what do you think? Astros over or under 90?
Under.
All right, I'll take the over. Kansas City Royals, I will take the over 72.5. What do you think, Isaac?
I'm going to take the over for that. Again, that's a low win total, but guess what? They did get Benintendi. They do have Salvador Perez, who had a surprising year last year in the shortened season. And, they have a young squad. I like their young talent.
What do you think, Nathan? Kansas City over or under 72.5?
Over.
Tremendous amount of insight from Nathan. Great job, buddy.
You're asking me about a sport I don't know. Teams I don't know.
I'm taking notes.
I'm hearing for the first time.
I'm going to be utilizing all this fun stuff against you. So speaking of which, here, I think they just kind of disappoint every year, and until I'm actually proven wrong, I will continue to pick against them. So I will be taking the Los Angeles Angels under 85 wins. What do you think, Isaac?
Yeah. They just, and it's not Mike Trout's fault because baseball is a team sport, not a player sport like the NBA. So Mike Trout is kind of, I'm not going to say screwed because they literally have Anthony Rendon, Shohei Ohtani. What are they doing wrong? I don't know. They also have a good manager, Joe Maddon, right? I'd go with the under too. They just underperformed this year.
Rapid fire. It's all right. You want to take the under, take the under. Nathan, you're sticking with the under. I can see you nodding your head here.
Yep. Sure.
Hey, look, we got to spend a second on the defending champions. Nobody actually incorporated them into the picks, which is a little surprising to me, but it happens. It's okay. But it's a big number. I think they're the best team in baseball still until somebody actually knocks them off their pedestal and proves otherwise. So even though it's a big number, I'd look to take the over on the Dodgers the only team within our list that's projected or has a number that's over 100. So the number is 100.5. You need 101 to win. What do you think, Isaac? Dodgers over or under 100.5 wins?
Like I said, there are so many choices when you have 30 MLB teams and 10 statements. So I didn't pick the Dodgers, and it was for one reason. The San Diego Padres may get in their way. Now, they're obviously going to get in their way more than last year because they're a way better team. But Trevor Bauer was also signed. So the Dodgers improved, the Padres improved. Yes, I'm going to take the over, but once again, there are so many choices because you have 10 statements for 30 MLB teams that I didn't pick the Dodgers. But that's kind of like a firm yes from me, the firm over for that pick.
All right. Nathan's he's nodding his head here. He's locking in. He's copying the great Isaac, which is actually a smart kind of play here. So all right, there you go. So it looks like we're all three in agreement with the
disclaimer
over on the
disclaimer. Any pick can be used against me.
No disclaimers. Once you lock it in, you lock it in. You got to be on record here. We're not, this isn't a political show here. There's no flip flopping. You think about it for a second, you lock in your pick, and you stick with your guns here. That's how we roll here.
I may be nervous. I want to switch my Marlins pick.
Well, we'll see. All right, so that brings me up to this team can hit the freaking ball all over the ballpark here. So I'm going to be taking the over. But what are your thoughts on the Minnesota Twins over 90 wins? I'm a lock on the over 90 wins. But what do you think?
This is tough. A lot of people have the Twins winning the division. I definitely have the White Sox winning the division.
But the other teams in that division stink.
Yeah. The Twins may make a wild card spot. We'll see. Because again, the Blue Jays are going to take that wild card spot. Maybe even the Rays. So I definitely take the see. Come on, this is a speed round. Put me on the timer.
Speed round. You're on the clock here. Let's go.
I'll take the under.
Nathan?
Under.
Okay. All right, so let's get back. So now let's do this kind of super fast here because these are not necessarily three good teams here. I am going to be taking the under on all three, but let's see what you guys think here. Pittsburgh Pirates, over or under 62.5 wins, one word. Isaac, go.
Under.
Nathan?
Under.
San Francisco Giants, over or under 75.5 wins. I will also, as I said, I'll be taking the under. Isaac, one word answer. What do you think?
That's high for them. That's 3 words, but under.
Under.
Nathan? All right, you're really going against the grain here. Seattle Mariners, over or under 71.5. Nathan, one word answer. Go.
Under.
Isaac?
Under.
All right.
You had him go first before me. He was mad.
All right. Let's actually, I got to make this kind of like a 4-roll, but in this particular case, I'm going over. Texas Rangers, over or under 66.5 wins. Isaac, one word answer.
Under.
Under.
All right. We have our first trifecta disagreement. And then, the last one that I have, very last pick, Washington Nationals, over or under 84.5 wins. Isaac, what do you think? I'm going to make my comments after I hear yours.
Yeah, I'm going to take the risk on this one and go with the over for this. They are a much, much, much improved team. Getting Josh Bell, who was in the home run derby a few years ago, Kyle Schwarber from the Cubs. And they still have Juan Soto, one of the best outfielders in MLB. Yep. And Max Scherzer in Strasburg. And Strasburg didn't play last year. So
that's all right. So there you go. That's what I'm actually thinking. You got Scherzer in Strasburg, and you still got Soto and some pretty good kind of field players that could bash the bull here. So I'll take the over on the 80. I'll take the over of 84.5 wins for the Nationals. Nathan, last one. What do you think?
Over.
There you go. That's it, guys. We just actually did a little bit of a coverage on basically every single MLB team. We made our 10 selections. This was kind of like a fun show. Everybody, make sure that you're locking in your selections or your picks. As we stressed before, it's a free-to-play game. Have some fun with it. Appreciate everybody taking a couple of minutes to check us out. Love to kind of hear some comments and some thoughts on what some of the other people are actually thinking or looking at. That's about it for me, guys. Unless you got anything else to add. Before we part ways, Isaac, go ahead, plug your stuff one more time. Where can people find you and give people just another quick little brief or rundown on flteams.com?
Yes, so definitely you can follow me. You should see it on the screen at Isaac Edelman on Twitter and on social media. And of course, please check out my website, flteams.com. Top Florida sports source, Rays, Marlins, all the Florida teams, college and professional teams. So thanks, Marc and Nate, for having me on. And definitely do not take the over for the Giants. I do not know why it's even above 66.
Nice. Very good. All right. So for everyone out there, make sure you're following on all social media at Statement Games. Watch and subscribe to the YouTube channel, Statement Games Inc. And make sure you're playing StatementGames.com on desktop and mobile. Marc, catch you later this week, actually. And Isaac, good talking to you, man. All right. See you guys.